there's emails that I have of like some of these demands that I know, like, where no, you cannot tell your pastor that you're not going to have the money. You cannot do this. You have to have the money. Like, it's all in writing. There's not questions of whether or not they're demanding it and that they didn't. Just the perpetual thing that they even built into me of like, I have to do this. And
So let's talk a little bit more about businesses and how businesses were run, like how they were like required.
well, yeah, as a business owner, and there's several that were in there. As a business owner, you were looking to grow your business to make sure you had enough money to provide for the church, not to be a successful business. Like, you wanted to be a successful business. I mean, like, I wanted that,
But
but
what was
like,
the most important? The most important
you had
was,
to make the money for the church.
yeah.
That was the whole goal.
And why did you have to? Because you were afraid.
Yeah, well, if you didn't, then that meant a whole lot of things about you. I mean, like, the thing too is that what I find fascinating in a bad way is like, from 21 till just when we left.
24. 2021.
Well, no, when I was 21, so back in 2013
Okay.
to whenever we left, I was told, like, there is no option. I've literally been told there is no option of not having enough money on Sunday, like, for a decade. So no wonder I went to extremes to try to get it. But in order to, with a business, to make a profit of what they needed of $350,000, $400,000 a year, a business has to be really, 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 really successful to make that kind of profit. And so my goal has always been to build a multi-million-dollar business, something huge, because then if you have a multi-million-dollar business, then you might have the profits, the excess money to be able to do that. And yet they would specifically talk about how it was wrong to try to build a multi-million-dollar business. You remember that, the very
That
end?
was the last year
That was
we
like
were
right
there.
before we left.
Yeah.
The pastor came on and was like, "You don't need $1 million business, all this stuff. Why would you even think that?" Like, I don't know if that's gaslighting or just like mockery, whichever one.
They
Because it's like he's acting like, why would I even think that? That's crazy of me to want to do that. And yet he's been the one pushing me to do that for like the past decade. But every business, I remember working for some in there when I didn't have a business, and like, they would be like, okay, this job I'm gonna make, if I can get it done in this time, we'll have this amount of profit to be able to give towards the need, which the need was always the pastor's paychecks, or whatever. I mean, there's not been a whole lot of businesses through there, because a business, if it got started, there were several businesses that got started, but then they weren't making enough money fast enough, so then they would be shut down. Like, the pastors would shut them down. I personally, and then a business that I was building that I don't have right now, we talked about this earlier, a pastor basically shut down the way to make money through it. And
he
yet,
damned you for
wanting to do
wanting
that
to sell the product in the
a
place
chain
that you
store,
wanted
yeah.
it to sell.
And
Yeah.
so, like, it's like he's purposely crippling the ability for the business to be successful while demanding
Yeah.
you give the money.
Yeah. And I think we should also talk about how we worked for these businesses. You mentioned that you would work for them, and part of like working for them would be to help the church.
Yes.
So like,
Yep. You would work for the business thinking that you working for the business is helping the church. So then you would put in all this time, all this effort, but
and it was because a lot of the times, a lot of it would go to the church.
yeah.
But it's also just like the people the way it was for individuals in there that didn't own businesses, like the women a lot, the young women a lot would do this because they
Didn't have their own
they didn't
business
have their
or
own business, or so they would work for the other businesses. And it was kind of like you had to work for the other businesses because that was the way to make money for the church, and you had to make money for the church. So often they couldn't choose like how to make money for the church. They just had to do it the way that we were making money for the church at the time.
right.
And so that meant working at the businesses.
But that's where it's so, I want people to know, especially if you're in this situation now or something similar, like, just know the crippling that the leadership does of those businesses. So
Can you say more specifically about the crippling? Explain
So, like,
more what happens. We said
so
that you
that
were
one-
damned because
right, that-
you were trying to get the product.
Right.
Yeah.
it's like even our business, whenever it was 5 months old, the pastor tried to shut it down. They try to shut things down because of whatever reason he comes up with in the moment. He tells you can't do certain things that are ways to actually build the business. He didn't even want us to hire people who weren't in the church for a while. He didn't want us to get our product out into chain stores that would really help grow the business.
He would come up, I remember often they would come up with like, why would you be having this person do it this way? That means you don't care about this person. So from now on, you must do it this way. And that could be like a very vital part. Like say that person is fulfilling a very vital role, like sales. So then you'd have to figure out, well, how can we find a person to sell the product while also still make the profit that we need
right.
to bring in? That's an example of that.
But the
happening.
thing
Like
is
that.
though, is that the people that are helping out and working don't know all the behind the scenes things. So
they're
they
just thinking like, this is good.
Right.
I got that done.
They think, great, I'm helping, I'm
Or
being a part of
they're
it.
just really also, they may not be thinking great. They may be really tired because they're having regular jobs or they're doing
Because
regular
they have
things,
regular jobs.
and they're
plus
not
helping
really
them.
also able to have regular lives, which none of us really were able to have regular lives because
And regular lives just being like taking care of yourself. Like,
not just taking care, but also
enjoying
it's
life.
like part of like enjoyment, like going out to eat, going to movies, like having fun, and not there being this constant pressure of there being a need.
So that's the thing, is that you could be helping with somebody, helping something out, but really what's happening is that that business may make a little extra money because of that, but compared to what's actually needed, it's not even going to be close.
Yeah.
And it's going to be kept down by the leaders who are demanding it at the same time.
Yeah.
So it's like you're always going to be in this constant cycle of needing more, and you're doing what you think is helping because you are helping. It's just
and you do want to help,
stifled.
but then you're also tired from all the helping.
So the thing to notice is that like this is not, because they use an idea of like, let's all work together.
Oh yeah.
Let's all be together and the Lord's going to bless that. They use that idea. They use good ideas of, productivity and working unity and being together, while at the same time stifling and controlling the success of the business.
And in certain cases, they would control the very every minute detail.
Yeah.
Of a business. They would just after church in the circle, often it would be talking about business stuff and what different things needed to happen in the business.
Yeah.
And what different decisions meant different things about you towards the person. Do you remember that?
Oh yeah.
And then it was very bad.
So that's really too what led to me having my salvation question back.
Yeah.
If you go back and watch the first video that we posted, because I told the leader that I wasn't going to follow the same way that other people had of doing everything, bringing every little thing of the business to him.
Yeah.
Because another person that had done it was literally his pawn, his whatever, of just doing anything he said.
And that had actually really hurt the business. When this person had done everything that the leader had said, it really hurt the business.
Because the leader is not a businessman. whatsoever.
Mm-mm.
And he thinks he knows everything about it. And there's so many things like you can't say no. You can't say no, that's a bad idea. You have to be like, okay, let me hear your idea. Let me try it out or whatever. And if you don't, then you're just not giving it a chance and you're having a bad attitude. But if you do and it doesn't work, then you're the one that caused it not to work because you were sabotaging
Mm-hmm.
it from the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
Not that it was a bad idea or that you're changing something in the business literally every single month, which is not a good thing for
No,
a business.
because you also have to see if it even works. Like
Yeah.
there's just such a thing as time and watching things go and
You've
then
got to have
problem
time to grow.
solving and then
Yeah.
knowing what's going on in your own. But it's just a lot of like blurred boundaries, a lot of blurring of relationships, a lot of demands, a lot of requirements, and like the people who are not demanding and requiring, but the people who are having to serve, we're just trying to figure it out in the best way possible, like how to do it.
Mm-hmm.
And something you brought up where they would, something that we brought up where they would just change it all of a sudden.
Mm-hmm.
I remember one Sunday we were working in a business together. Jonathan and I, we have a business. We were working it together. One Sunday,
Yeah.
it was just, the pastor emeritus was just like, boom, she shouldn't be working. She shouldn't be working in the business. And that was just like so heartbreaking and so shocking and so damaging to our business. so damaging to our business.
Because we do hire somebody else.
Because we had to hire people to do work and it wasn't as efficient if I had done the work. But anyway, that's a side note. But also just damaging for me because it's like there's the amount of control that these individuals have to just demand and coerce you into doing stuff. It's absolutely insane. And you don't really know those words when you're in there. You don't know those words. You know the feeling. You know you don't like it. You know that you love God and you know that God's been used against you. You know that if you were to say, no, I'm going to work on the business that is my business with my husband, you know what would come, and what would come would be you're a Jezebel. You just want to control. You just want to control Jonathan. You just want to control the business. And you've been threatened so many times before that you're literally afraid. Like you're afraid all
so
the time.
bad.
You're so afraid. And I remember being really depressed after it and like losing my purpose. Like, what do I do every day? Because that was like I really enjoyed it. It was like and it really did hurt our business, but we're recovering from that right now, which is good. And I'm thankful that we are recovering from that. But like, there's just so many levels to that because there's nothing that Jonathan didn't have. Like, Jonathan didn't know. He could say like,
no,
who the heck do you think you are, mister? And I know that may be kind of abstract for people who've not gone through the situation that we've gone through to understand. You can be like, what's wrong with that guy? But really, it's just a product of severe abuse that he was enduring, and it's a product of severe abuse that I have endured. And that's why we really feel very passionate about explaining our story and kind of the psychological reasons why things go on the way that they go on, and how they obtain power, how abusive individuals obtain power over other individuals or over their victims. And
in the financial sector, I guess you can say, if anybody is telling you that you need to pay them a certain amount of money and they are defining that amount of money and they're saying that this is biblical and this is because of serving God, run,
obviously.
get
And
away.
I think it's like, now you're like, well, duh. But in there, we have to really just like hold space,
Oh,
hold
I
space
understand. Yeah,
for this understanding of you're
that's a red flag, though.
trying to survive, like in the most deepest ways, in the most practical ways. You're scared to death. You've been on the other side. You've been on the other side of them. You've been on their wrath. And sometimes it was like deserved wrath, which is not really true because there's no excuse for abusing other individuals. But maybe you did something wrong or something that they deemed wrong, and you know what it's like to be on that side. And it is so bad and it is so painful that you would do like anything to not be.
Yeah.
But you don't really realize that you can just tell them to suck it. You can tell them, you have no authority over me. You don't realize that because guess what? They also wield spiritual power over you as well, because they've been the ones who taught you about God. They've been the ones that have maybe shown affection to you in ways you've not experienced before, or they've shown or they've been there for you in ways other people haven't been there for you.
Even family members.
And so then you're like, but this person's a good person because they said that they care for me and they've shown that they care for me. But then sometimes they say that I do this bad, but that doesn't mean, but if they maybe lose their temper sometimes, or if they maybe say that I'm a bad, but then later they're nice, then maybe they just like had like a bad day. Like maybe it was just kind of like, something was going on with them, but I'm okay and they're nice to me now, so it's going to be okay. Like, but that's abuse. Okay? And so you don't know that because people aren't using the words. People aren't using the words like, hey, that's wrong. You're hearing, they're your pastor. You respect your pastor. You love your pastor. If you aren't willing to do these things for your pastor, then you don't care about your pastor. And if you don't care about your pastor, then you don't care about what the Bible says. And if you don't care about what the Bible says, then you don't care about God. And it is one of the most difficult things to come to terms with, that the people that you love and would do literally anything for, as evidenced by all of this crazy, really don't care for you, really aren't even, pastors. And it's pretty intense stuff, but
there's really, we've said a lot here, but there's really so many stories
it's
and things
innumerable. I don't
that
even
have
think
happened.
it's possible to remember all of it.
It's not. I remember as we talk, there's more and more things that I remember, and there's emails that I have of like some of these demands that I know, like, where no, you cannot tell your pastor that you're not going to have the money. You cannot do this. You have to have the money. Like, it's all in writing. There's not questions of whether or not they're demanding it and that they didn't. Just the perpetual thing that they even built into me of like, I have to do this. And
in order to receive
and
love.
then the correlation, whenever I come back after I stop providing, I come back and I start telling them, like, I was tying my salvation, my relationship with God, to providing. And they're like, why would you do that?
They totally gaslit you.
They're
They
like,
totally
why would you
gaslit
be
you.
so crazy as to do that? Obviously, it's not the same. And I'm like, okay, you tell me, like, you like do treat me this way for like my entire adult life, and then you act like I'm not gonna feel that way or be that way. So it is just kind of crazy, but hopefully this gives somebody just like a realization of what might be happening in their own life. But yeah, we have more to come, and we appreciate you listening. Please click on subscribe, comment, follow, and we will continue to share our story.